Hello everyone, Dr. Jason Deitch here for another episode of the Life Vision Project. And what a cool experience we have coming up, because we get to hang out with one of my favorite people in the entire world, someone who I wish I could adopt as one of my brothers, who I call my brother, Dr. Brad Glowaki. All of you know him as the new patient maven. Brad, thanks for taking some time to be here to join us on the Life Vision Project.
Thanks for having me. We are brothers, and this is always fun because vision is really what it's about. And when you get your vision right, I think life gets easy. What it is that you're getting up and getting excited to do. So this is fun. Yeah, I'm excited.
I can tell you, I remember the first time I saw you speak ever. I remember it very vividly, very clearly. Here's this guy who's like just good, solid guy. And he stands up in front of the room and he goes, "I love chiropractic," over and over. You got the whole room going. And I'm like, wait a minute. I love chiropractic too. And that means I must love you. Today I want to talk about, those people that have been watching anything that's going on in the profession, whether they're students or veterans. You have done an amazing job. We've actually over 10 years now together. Really teaching people how to get out into the world, do what we call the 10-minute talk, get out of your office, and you got a whole bunch of amazing, I think, innovative ways of presenting chiropractic. The idea of going from awareness into action. You've mastered this whole communication thing at the highest level I know, and what I want to talk about together here in this conversation is, those of us that watch you on Facebook, see you traveling the world, seeing you with your beautiful wife, kids, and family. I've had the great fortune of being and staying with you, working at the highest levels with the coolest people in the profession. You have what I think most of us from the outside looking in would say, you have it all.
I appreciate it.
And I want to get some insight from your perspective on what that's like for you. Whether you feel you have it all, or what your internal dialogue is, but also how you got there. I mean, I've known you now for over 10 years. There are people that just maybe new to the conversation or just don't know. They think, that can work for him, but not for me.
Right.
So let's just start off. Share some of your story about how did you become a chiropractor and develop this deep passion for sharing chiropractic? Cool.
Number one, I would agree. I do feel like I have it all. I'm very blessed and would be a fool to say, no, I don't. Life is fun, and I think it really started with the vision. So I'm not surprised where I'm at in practice and in life, because that was the design. I didn't stumble upon this. That was my vision. And supporting Life Vision, I think, is huge, because it'll help other chiropractors. They've got to get clear on what it is they want. Success is a funny word. It can be defined by everybody differently. And number one is you got to get clear on your definition of success. I don't know what that is, and I'm not here to impose my definition on anybody. But if I've got some things that I've done that will help you kind of, follow that path a little smoother, and I've blazed the trail, then so be it. But the truth is, I feel very blessed. I do feel like I have it all. One of my mantras has always been 360 degrees of success. Not success at all costs, because if the definition is just dollars in the bank account, well, then you're going to blow up friendships and colleagues and throw the chiropractor down the street under the bus and create other problems in your life as a whole, estranged relationships with your kids because you're not balanced. And I didn't want that. I didn't want to be doing spinal screenings every single weekend so I could have a lot of money in my bank account. I wanted to do it where there was balance all the way around the wheel. So it was by design. It was never by default. And it was very much the vision to get to here. Kind of where it started was I didn't go to a school as philosophically sound as Life University. And in fact, at the time that I was there, Sid Williams sometimes was mocked because he was the current president, and I didn't understand the good or the bad. It was a name I knew until I met the man and fell in love with the man. It wasn't until I had graduated, to be honest. As a student, I never knew of Sid Williams other than just casual names, and sometimes the school that I was at, they made fun of him for being a crazy guy. He was crazy. There's no doubt. All the visionaries are. So I think part of this interview too is to get in touch with your crazy. What do you want? What do you want out of life? It's a really deep question, and it's really where I began. Asking and allowing myself to go, what do I want? And then immediately what shows up are your limiting beliefs. Well, I can't have it, or I'm not good enough, or I don't have skills, or didn't go to the right school, or I'm not tall enough, I'm not as tall as Jason Deitch, and all these things come to mind, and those are the limiting beliefs, and we've got to put those in a place where they belong and get them out of the way, basically, because oftentimes that's where we stay stuck. And for me, growing my practice, ultimately it was about helping people. Money is never the cause. It's the effect of doing a good job, but money's not it. So if you're really looking and doing some soul search on how you can grow your practice or get bigger, you got to put money to the side, because that is never going to be the cause. It's going to be short-lived, and it wears off on the thrill after a while, and you've got to get back to your principles. What is your sole focus and purpose? And it really comes back to me was wanting to help more people in my community. I love the feeling of adjusting people. I'm in love with delivering that to the spine. It's so fun to do that. So it was really a pure intent. It was just, I want to get more people on the table. I want to help them out. I want to help these people. And so whatever came next, the hows, the whats, and the wheres, that was really easy because I was willing to do whatever. And I think for anybody taking notes, there's two pains you're going to have in practice. Pain, I don't think, is unavoidable, but oftentimes we glorify it. We give it more credit than it's worth. I just make it real simple. There's a pain of discipline, and there's a pain of regret. Discipline enough to go and do the things you want to do, and the pain of regret is, it kind of ties into also what I call poverty through dignity. Poverty through dignity is, I'm too proud to do a spinal screening. I'm too good to do this marketing or that talk or this. I'm too good to go to these workshops, and so I'll just stay broke. I'll just stay helping a small amount of people. That's poverty through dignity. You're not doing the right things, so we wind up doing nothing, and as a result, the profession isn't moving forwards. And to me, it's about getting more people on the table, more of what you want by your definition of success. And it was really apparent to me early on that doing spinal screenings and one-on-one was a lot of hard work. It was very time-consuming. And if I could go one-to-many and do outside talks and outside lectures, I could bring people into my practice. So that's really where I started focusing, was just group lectures, group talks, and bringing people in a dozen at a time. That was kind of the metric I wanted, was how many dozens of new patients could I bring in. And, you and I have talked about skeptics versus believers. There's a big difference, right? And somebody's a skeptic, or if you're attracting believers, it's huge.
Yeah, and communicating, the way you do in a short burst, that creates curiosity versus, some, argue, you go out, you do a screening, you get them in for one reason and then convert them to something else. It's just slightly different, a little bit harder. I want to touch upon how you developed, how you discovered. Was there an event or was it a process? How did you really get this fire inside? Because, I have to acknowledge you. Listen, you absolutely could just keep serving people, growing your practice, open up multiple clinics as you have, and just, keep your life really easy and simple. You've mastered it, you've gotten there. But I think it's because of your life vision, it's because of your passion, it's because of the way you think that those things have become side effects, and that you're now willing to take the next step. And I mean willing in terms of getting on planes around the world, on every weekends. You practice all week, and then on the weekends you're out in a different city helping chiropractors learn what they need to know so they can serve more people. That's a higher calling than just, I want to get out, I like adjusting, I want to serve my community.
Sure.
How did you discover that? What's the story of how that unfolded for you? Because obviously my intention is that, we've got two audiences. We've got those that are right in line. They're like, I know my life vision. I'm with you, man. Right? I'll see you in Atlanta so we can connect, rub shoulders. But you got a lot of people out there that better than I, that are struggling, that are trying to crack the code. And I think that they're sort of skipping what I think might be the most important part. It's not, what to do is important, but it's what to do relative to, like you said, your definition of success, what we may call your life vision, what drives you. If you had all the money you needed to live the life you wanted to live, then what would you do? How did that occur? How did that unfold for you?
I think I got so busy in my practice when I first started, I didn't realize that what I was doing was so different. And I was a fill-in speaker one night at a philosophy event. The main speaker didn't show up, and I jumped in and did my 30 minutes, and people really resonated with the message. And that's the short version. I shared what I was doing in my practice and realized that really wasn't what was happening in 90% of the room. And then, I think when you give and you help other people, it's like being in practice. When you're helping other chiropractors, it's a great endorphin rush. It's a really good feeling to help those docs. And because I'm in practice and I'm in the lab, and that's what we call my office, is I run ideas through the lab, we test it, we proceduralize it, we make it work. Every finite detail, if I can get it combed out, then I can speak with authority. I know this works, and it really makes it go for the docs that we're teaching. And that becomes really fun for me too, is switching docs on to not just the results we have, but the results we have or better. And we've had docs do that. They've broken my records. They've exceeded it. And it really becomes fun because then in practice, when you're there and you're doing it, you get the results, you get the miracle stories, you get the testimonials. I hope that never gets old. This profession is so full of those.
Yeah. I want people to know kind of, so I'll say the real story because, right now it's easy. I know you for a lot of years and, it's easy to go, yeah, we're winning. It's good. All things are great. We're selling out every weekend and so on. But that wasn't always the case when you started day one.
No.
There's been personality issues. I mean, there's been plenty of hard knocks. So
Yeah.
I want to identify, what got you to where you are is a thought process, is a perspective, is a feeling, is a commitment, like you said, to something bigger than yourself. And I say this within the context of, we all listen to what's going on social media-wise. We go to events. We hear what's up. And there's a lot of conversation that I just kind of think of as outside in. Hey, what's the trend now? What code are you using? That I can get some more if I do it this way. And that's different than, hey, what's a way that I can actually reach more people? There's a service versus I don't know if you call it greed or get perspective. How has that driven you? How have you developed it? And how do you teach others to trust that? Because, you live in fear. You maybe go month to month financially.
Yeah.
You got, spousal stress in terms of,
Right.
Hey, we got a mortgage to pay. I got some, clothes and jewelry I'd like. How do you stay true to that?
So here's the thing is, when it comes to getting people into your practice, one of the things I learned from my dad early on was, in the absence of value, cost is the only consideration. Too many docs think it's a price, it's a number. The lowest commodity, there can only be one in any industry. So it's really not that. It's a value proposition. What we provide is a value proposition no matter how you practice. Number two, you have to look as the doc that's in practice that there's a loss of trust in society these days. I mean, you look at the three biggest movies that were a hit in 2016. One was Spotlight. It talks about the loss of trust from the Catholic Church and things that went on there. The Big Short was a loss of trust in the banking system as it collapsed, as it tied to the government. We look at the movie Concussion. There was a loss of trust in the doctors in the medical field as it pertained to NFL players. Trust is a big theme, but I think that is it's a microcosm, really, even though it's a big screen movie, it's a microcosm of what's been going on already for a couple decades. We can check and test everything online. We can look for metrics online. We can check reviews. There's a lot of loss of trust. So you've got to realize your job nowadays to be successful is to build trust. You've got to have trust. So number one, it's value. Number two, does your tribe trust you? Do the prospective people in the audience trust you? Do you have things that will reinforce that trust? And there's a number of procedures we could do with that that I think would drive it. But also for a lot of docs to get in touch with their life vision, you've got to realize it needs to be simultaneous, not sequential. A lot of docs think that it's like, well, first I'll do this, and then next I'll do that, but I'm not going on to step 3 until I get 2 right, but I've been stuck at step 2 for 19 years. You know what I mean? And if you're looking for an event or a place to do that, that's what Life Vision's all about, is to punch you through that. And the truth is you can have simultaneous success. In fact, that's the only way to get it. which is why we talk about 360 degrees of success. So, the idea of having it all, it has to be simultaneously going on. Great relationship with your kids, and a good relationship with your profession and your colleagues, and a good relationship with your own health, and honoring your own schedule and commitments. That's one of the first things that docs need to do, is honor your own commitments. If you say you're going to wake up at 5 in the morning and go work out, you better do it, or your subconscious mind shuts you down the rest of the day, because you've already lied to yourself. So now whatever else you've got going on to your audiences, to your patients, you don't trust your own self. So why should the audience trust you? And your confidence drops, your vibration drops as a result. So, we start looking at this stuff. Your success needs to be looked at as a simultaneous event, not a sequential. First I'll do this, next I'll do that. And as a result of that, confidence has to be high, success follows. A lot of chiropractors want to be successful, and then they'll be confident.
Trust, one of the things the aha moment for me was, we talk about society losing trust in some of our cultural icons, but then when you connected the dots of if you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, you're actually breaking your own trust with yourself, and there's no way to get anywhere from there. I think that might be just one of those nuggets of building trust, because it's all built on trust. You've been around the world. There's almost every weekend you're somewhere. What drives you? I mean, I know you've gotten the question, last presentation, one of the things I love that you said so much was, okay, I'm the new patient maven, and people ask me all the time, why do you still need so many new patients? And it's the answer's in the question. You don't need more new patients. Speak to that if you would, please.
Yeah, sure. And to be really fair to the question, sometimes it's a criticism. Right. Well, if you were so good, you wouldn't need new patients. I go, oh my God, you have no idea that the volume that we see in my practice, you probably know very little about what we do. So before any judgments are cast, the truth is, we do it because I want to help people. I want to help more people. And if I just sit back and wait and I hear chiropractors go, well, I have a referral-based practice, I'll be really honest, to me that sounds like lazy. I'm referral-based. They show up when they show up on what people tell them. Well, then somebody else is defining your practice. Yeah. If your current patients are defining your practice, the medical profession is defining your practice, some legislature that's about to come down, we're in a bad situation. You should define your practice. Then you're going to have what you want. You can attract believers to your practice. And that's also why I teach, because not everybody's a good fit for my practice. Yeah. And I'm honest with them. I'm not the jack of all trades. I don't buy the next new gadget and get the next new thing. If it's going to help somebody and the doctors listening want it and it's going to be beneficial, do it. Go for it. But a lot of times in this profession, we buy stuff and gadgets and gimmicks. And that's why we have a bad connotation around the word marketing, because it's gimmicky marketing in the past. What we're doing now with these 10-minute talks, it's like a TED Talk. Our TED Talk's pretty famous around the world right now. Happens to be one of the most popular things is a concise answer to some really big questions in under 18 minutes. You can get more audiences when you can do a 10-minute talk. You can have more places to go. More venues will host you if you require less time. And then you can build that trust in a short amount of time, because people are judging you. They're listening to what you're saying. They want to know if you're credible. And then what you shared with the audience earlier is moving people out of awareness and into action is my goal every time we speak. So when we do that, that's ultimately what I want to do, is move them out of their seats and into my practice. And I am crystal clear about that. There's action steps that have to be articulated. And what inspires me to continue to travel and do this, I've got 4 beautiful children. They, at some point, are either going to be chiropractors, they're going to marry a chiropractor, they hang out with chiropractic families. I want this profession to be strong. And the reality is, when we travel out of the country, a lot of times we take the kids. It's an adventure. We stay with chiropractic families. There's a whole other learning curve there. For me, it's about alignment. So if I can line up fun and my children and teaching and an experience, I'm doing 8 different things on every trip that often doesn't meet the eye. So for me, it's part of my 360 degrees of success. It's family time. I'm learning. I'm connecting with colleagues. I am teaching. So I can put 7 or 8 things in alignment. Go figure, that would be the word, right? 7 or 8 things in alignment that fulfills my vision. And I bet you, the doctors listening to this, could do the same thing. Yeah, if you show up to a Life Vision, you're going to take a bunch of notes and you're going to get professional content. But you might also sit and have lunch with somebody who shares how they have better family balance and what they do. And in the hallway, you might be able to share something with a student that's going to impact their career. And who knows, maybe they want to come and do an associateship in your practice, and then you get to take a week off or 2 weeks off that you've never taken the way it's all becomes circular, but you've got to engage in the process. And all of a sudden, you start to pull what you define as success into a picture of alignment, and you put that into your vision, and that's where the big breakthroughs happen.
You know, one of the things that that really strikes me about what you said early, and I love it, is, you know, in defining your life vision, you just said, and I hope people are hearing this clearly, and which is why I want to bring it out and emphasize it. I'm not here to help everyone, right? And I can tell you, I know from my experience, let alone I think lots of other people, there's a frustration and dread we live with because our life vision is to help as many people as possible. What I'm hearing you say is your life vision is to help as many people as possible who want help.
That's right.
And that's a very different deal,
It's
which I think
huge.
sustains your energy level in a different way than feeling like you're always getting beat up. Speak
That's
to that
right.
if you would.
Yeah, it's called the economy of energy, and you've got to be very careful with what you load up on your bandwidth. You know, and a lot of doctors say yes to everything. No takes courage. Saying no and keeping it so it fits within your parameters, it takes courage. Yes is easy. We get overcommitted and we don't complete anything. And those incompletes rob us of our energy too. So absolutely, what I'm all about in my practice for new patients is attracting believers. And I suggest the listeners get clear on that too. Even though you can help everybody, it doesn't necessarily mean that's your job. You know, attract believers, the people you're going to get the best results. They're going to maximize their time with you. That's your power zone in there. And if you're working on the fringe with all the weird and the wonderful that maybe you're not the master of, you're going to frustrate them. You're going to be frustrated. That isn't it. Same thing within the profession. There's an audience of people that I think want to be leaders. They want to work less hours but have bigger impact. Those are the people I want to help too. You know, we take 8 weeks family vacation. That was a goal. That was by design to do that. And so then I line up all the other things around maxing my family time out. And so when I'm in the game, I've got to be super sharp and effective. And that becomes key too, is how do you become a leader where you can minimize your time, maximize your impact. And it's an inverse law, but it's happening, living proof for sure. And it's in all respects of your life. It's 360 degrees of success. But for sure, I think that's a big takeaway. Takeaway is attract believers, but then also disqualify people that you're not going to be the best solution for. It's a relieving thing, but it's also honoring their time and their energy to tell them you're maybe not the best resource.
Now, I'm not going to give all of the secrets of the 10-minute talk philosophy and so on, but I do want to emphasize something that, you know, it's in the knowing your life vision that you then, out of necessity, as a byproduct of that, created new ways of speaking and communicating to attract that specific target audience. So there are things you say differently and ways you communicate differently that attracts believers that's different than educating the public about chiropractic. Those are actually almost inverse principles, right? One is let me just talk at you about what I think is most important, but that attracts all kinds of people, including cynics.
That's right.
And skeptics. And what you're saying is, and what I've learned from you after attending your programs and many talks and going to seminars and rubbing shoulders and so on, is, you know, what if we, you know, it's a crude analogy, but, you know, you use certain types of bait to catch certain kinds of fish. You have certain kinds of communications to attract certain types of audiences. So you've really mastered, in my opinion, the idea of, you know, talking about things that are relevant to your target audience, whether it's concussion, whether, you know, you get topic specific so that those people who have, you know, what we might think of as certain body signals or symptoms aren't just coming in for the relief of those symptoms per se. They're coming in because you can connect and communicate on that principle, and then you bring them to a different understanding. But that's all, as you said, by design. Would you speak to some of the differences in how you train people to communicate different than, I'll say, sort of the professional cultural norm that we've been accustomed to?
Yeah, I do things totally different, without a doubt, than the rest of the profession, I would say, when it comes to that, because of that concept that not everybody is going to be right. So what I want is my target audience, and it's almost a way of communicating that you let people know if they're not a candidate for your practice. They appreciate it, but also all I'm going to attract are believers to my office, which makes every other procedure easy in my practice. When they show up, they're pretty much ready to go.
Yeah.
And it makes every other procedure easy. And the fact that we can do it in 10 minutes means it's a minimal energy on my part, but also I'm allowed to go to more places. And what you talked about with concussion, that is a cultural conversation right now. It is red hot. And we've been absolutely lighting it up with whole families coming in, because the target audience there are between the age of 10 and 16 years old, which means they have to be accompanied by their parent. And now we've got families starting chiropractic care based around brain health. And again, we do every single procedure to the T. So it's a chiropractic conversation. It's a subluxation conversation. So it's spot on. And it's very poignant that I know exactly what I want in my practice. Docs can take this down to cash versus insurance, ages. You can focus on genders. I mean, it's really cool when you dial into the recipe of what you want. And if they say, I want a family-based wellness practice, there's a way to do that too. And that 10-minute talk and that 10-minute conversation is as much about what I don't do as it is to what we do. And then we use time to our advantage. Say, look, we're out of time. If you want more information, come into the office. And it's what you stated early in this recording that maybe I jumped over, but it's pulling people into the conversation and not what you just alluded to, which is pushing my content on you. It's all about pull marketing these days. Push marketing is dead. So if you're doing drip campaigns and slamming people with emails, that ship has sailed. It's about raising curiosity and coming into the office. And to pique curiosity in 10 minutes or less is actually easier to pique it than if I had an hour to do so.
Two things I love about all of that. The first one is that it's so much cleaner, nicer, and easier for everyone when you don't come across as, we'll say, passionate, but I think is sometimes perceived as desperate. We're so excited to really want to serve and help that it doesn't always translate as passion. So by giving a little bit of the, hey, listen, I'm not here for everyone, only if you fit within this particular category, just saves a lot of face. You agree with that?
Totally, yeah, and what that's called from the influence literature. So there's a lot of behavioral psychology we teach, and a lot of it we pull from the influence literature. That specifically is called candor. C-A-N-D-O-R, candor. And what it means is you humble yourself first. The sequencing is important. So, hey, I'm not good at this. This is not what I do. If this is what you thought of, it's a very humble approach, but it gets into that trust factor, because if I'm great at 17 different things, or I'm the expert at 29 different things, which is what a lot of chiropractors do, it trips the BS meter.
Yeah.
And if the BS meter goes off, we lose trust. Everything else we say is bad. So if I can use candor and I humble myself first, I'm not good at this, whatever I say next has massive impact.
You know, that's huge, because I see a lot of external feedback of people's outside perception of the profession. And you just nailed one of the, I'm going to say, misperceptions, but in many cases, their perception is our reality, whether we like it or not. And when we speak the way many of us speak, not that we intend it to be that way, but oftentimes the way it's heard and perceived, if we're not specific and selective the way you're describing, is it sounds to people like we're saying we can help everyone with everything. Now, when I ask people, well, who said that? Most people don't go, he did, but they know it's what they think they heard. And so I think there's a tremendous value in what you're saying. The other part I want to just switch gears into talking about, just because we don't have a lot of time, but I find it extremely valuable, is you've really developed this concept called speaking outside of the room. So not only, right, so how beautiful is this? Again, life vision. How do you design your perfect practice? One, how do you efficiently attract believers that are the people you most want to work with? But then how do you sometimes double and triple your results? And the answer is by speaking outside of the room. What does that mean exactly?
Cool. So I'm going to complete that one thought that you brought up, which is really key, is that introverts are sometimes the best speakers. They don't often love it at first. They don't think that that's who they are, but they're usually the best communicators are introverts when it comes to these talks. And 10 minutes is less painful than a half an hour. The extroverts that get really passionate, what my buddy Paul Reed calls compassionate, we blow them out of the room. You know, your medical doctor's trying to kill you, and the nurses go to the office on a broom every day. You know, it's like, whoa, we blow them out. That's not good. So the other side of that is that softer, gentler side, which is what we teach because it builds the trust. You don't make them wrong. And then we get into whatever you have in front of you, it fits right into the life vision theme. It's never the view, it's always the vision. And the reason docs need to get to life vision is maybe just that. That's the one quote that hangs above my desk. It's not the view, it's the vision. So if you look out your window right now, the proverbial window of your life and your office, and you go, this sucks, I don't like what I see, it's okay. Because it's always about the vision where you're going. Or if you look out your window and you go, things are great, well then we need to elevate your vision because it's always more fun. You get more energy when you have a big goal than a little goal. You know, that gives you energy, the big things. So for me, you know, I think the view is really what it becomes about. When I'm in a room and I've got 12 people in front of me, my potential for new patients far exceeds 12. Because again, it's not my view. What I'm seeing is 12. My vision is these are 12 moms and what they have are children at home. And the topic is brain health, it's concussion. And they have multiple children, and they also have a spouse. And I know women make healthcare decisions 90% of households internationally, and I do speak around the world, and that's the same in every household. When it comes to health, mom decides what the child gets. So if I get these 12 women excited about what I'm doing, I could check 25, 30 people next week, and that's what we routinely do. So it's not the view, it's the vision of what do I want to see. And as we teach in our workshops, it's called speaking outside the room. So it's not what I have in the room, it's who else they know, who else they make healthcare decisions for, and I speak outside these four walls because I can have 12 people in an audience and I can sign up 25 new patients, and we routinely have students that have learned these processes do it too because it's reproducible. It's not the view, it's the vision, which is why no matter where you are in practice, high or low, I think life vision becomes something you've got to do on an annual basis. Just you check in and then you get that reframe, look through a different set of lenses. And that's maybe why I'm at where I'm at in practice and in life is I've always elevated my view. Once I've reached one mountaintop, I've looked over and go, hey, there's some bigger mountains over there. I want to hit that peak next. And that's the fun drive in life and really balancing that 360 degrees of success.
I love it. I love it. Well, we are, I want to be sensitive to people's time. I could go on for hours, and we will, but not on this recording.
Right on.
Let's close it up by you sort of giving people, what's the value? What's the importance? Listen, you got some people that are like, I'm busy. I think I have maybe something to do that weekend. If not, I'll find one. But there's all kinds of excuses. Then there's the others that go, listen, I've been there. I've done that. What's the value for me? I already know what I need to know. Let's talk about why it's so important for us to get together as a community as we close this out.
Yeah, so number one, the highest level of learning is the experience. You know, yeah, you can listen to the soundtrack later in your car. It's like listening to AC/DC in your car. It's great. It's awesome. But you go to the live show, and it's a whole different experience. It's the highest level of learning. And then there's learning in the hallways. There's a learning at the lunch breaks. You know, having lunch and listening to Guy Reekman, I don't ever take those blessings lightly. He's a living legend. He's a living icon. And the vision of what he does and then the action steps that follow, it's amazing. I listened to Jerry Klum deliver a 9-minute lecture. I recorded it. It was just under 9 minutes for Life West. And he raised over $140,000 because they had the screens next to him going as they were collecting money as a fundraiser, what he did. Guy Reekman getting people to get up and move in Europe to support Life Rome. You know, these are people that speak and action follows. They have a big vision and action follows. Those are things that when you marinate in that for the weekend, it gets into your DNA. And it really starts to create that gut check to where I've got to play at a bigger level. And then obviously what you learn are the steps to do that. So to me, it's also part of my success is once I'm done speaking, when I sit down, I sit in the audience, and I'm marinating in that stuff as well.
I love it. I love it. Well, I look forward to marinating with you very soon. And if you're watching, hopefully we will see you at an upcoming Life Vision as well. Brad, Glow, I love you. I'm grateful for everything you do. Thank you for pushing the envelope. Thank you for participating in Talk the Tick and taking it to the next level and everything that you do for the profession. We got a lot of years of work to come together, but thanks for taking a few minutes and sharing with us as part of the Life Vision Project.
Thank you so much, buddy. Yeah, and everybody, at Life and at Life Vision and the names I mentioned, and there's a whole slew more. Things are only going to get better, and if you want to stay connected in this profession, get to Life Vision. I'm there through the weekend, and I'm your resource, so I look forward to it.
Right on. Thanks for watching another edition of the Life Vision Project.